I'd like to welcome you guys to this week's report. Today is Thursday, January 18th. Have a gloomy, overcast day here in Long Beach, and the next few days probably aren't going to be much different. We are forecast to have a bit of a storm come in this weekend. Rain Saturday, Sunday, Monday, maybe even Tuesday. The good news is that the rain is probably pretty light during the day on Saturday and Sunday. At least that's what Henry DiCarlo told me on Channel 5 News this morning. But he actually also at one point said happy birthday to Hugh Janus when someone sent in a joke. So I don't know how much to trust him or not. But he's a fellow fisherman, so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that even if it does rain, we're going to have some nice weather all day Saturday and Sunday. And by weather, I mean wind. There's none, really. Very little. I mean, you can fish anywhere you want, from Point Conception to the Mexican border and below, and the worst case scenario right now looks like you might get rained on. So, you know, that's why they make foul weather gear, and like they say, the fish are already wet. This being Thursday evening, I checked closer. We're taking another look at the weather before you head out, as is always prudent to do when we have storms coming in, but it looks like we'll probably be fine. And it doesn't look like it's going to rain too heavily during the day there in most areas. Channel Islands, really good fishing up there right now. The Aloha Spirit ran their first halibut or bust trip the other day and had 34 legal fish. They also got some nice calico bass, stuff like that. My friend Pat that runs the boat went out on his private boat a couple times since then and had halibut, some nice calico bass, and this is all on artificial lures. A lot of the halibut being caught on those big fluke baits. I think Redemption makes those, but I'm not 100% sure, so don't quote me. I'm sure they sell them at the landing if you want to get one. Those trips were online, I think, Wednesday through Sunday. And I know they're already full on some trips. I think they're going to do this every week as long as the Bight holds out. So, you know, a lot of guys will probably get scared off by the rain, so you might be able to go out and get a nice light load trip with them this weekend if you want. So I'd call their landing or check out their website to see what's happening. If you're a private boater, that bass fishing at Santa Cruz Island during the winter can be excellent. I fished up there with Larry Heron years ago, and as long as you're fishing at this time of year, as long as you're fishing that shallower stuff, the bass bite just fine. They'll bite swim baits, hard baits, crank baits, you name it. Probably this year's water temperatures up there are much warmer like they are in most areas. We actually saw 61.5 degree temperature in the channel between Catalina and Newport Monday. So it's not like it's freezing cold, so it's probably going to be biting pretty good. Speaking of Catalina, it got some coverage over the weekend. Saturday, my friends Gary Reyes, Mike Stembridge, and I was drawing blanks. Jay Jones went over there. And they started on the east end and had real clear water and slow fishing. They made their way up west and actually had some really good bass fishing. Fishing swim baited, lead-headed swim baits in the surge, just that typical stuff up there. And then when I was there as well, we found that, you know, the more off-color water definitely held more bites, at least shallow. Deeper didn't really seem to matter. So yeah, you know, Jimmy and I went out Sunday morning. He had a doctor's appointment at 2:30, so it's kind of going to be a short trip. Got to the island around 7:30. We fished our typical east end stuff where we like to fish crankbaits and stuff. Got a few fish there. I had a couple of nice fish on the spinnerbait. I don't have any video of that. But it was real clear and there wasn't a lot of surge, so that kind of slowed things down. So we made our way around the east end, ran up to the beach at Orange Rocks. No action at all there. Water was pretty clean, not a lot of water movement there either. So we went out to some of the deeper stones outside of Orange Rocks and had surprisingly good bass fishing. We probably caught 7 or 8 fish in a span of a few minutes and then went on our way because it's kind of deeper than we like to fish. It was like 60 or 70 feet, but they were still biting the 7-inch gulp jerk chat, and I got a video of that here. Okay. You left your deal back here.
What's that?
You left your deal back here.
What's that? Oh, thank you.
You may want that at some point.
Yeah, when we go to where we're going to catch fish. Oh. Fuck. They're fucking biting in there. That was fucking...
In bites?
5 misses. Oh, that one came off. Come back for another second.
Missed it?
Yeah, it's like... Oh, came off too. Jesus.
Good one?
Oh, there it goes.
Yellow?
Jerk shad.
Jerk shot.
Deep water calico bass. Here at Santa Catalina Island.
Turn around now, then we're on camera. So after we did that, you know, we ran up the island a bit, and we ran into our friend Christian from Sika Sport Fishing. He was in tight drift and halibut, and I don't know if he got any that morning when we saw him. I don't think he'd gotten any yet, but he had some good fishing on a previous trip. If you guys are looking to go on a island trip right now on a boat that's going to be targeting halibut and soon hopefully sea bass as well as calico bass and other things, that Sika Sport Fishing out of Dana Wharf is pretty hard to beat. They real knowledgeable captain, and they've been consistently catching fish throughout the year. But this time of year, it's nice to have a pretty fast boat. You can make a run to the island and stay out of conditions, and then, you know, fish for a half a day or whatever and head home. But if you're interested in doing something like that, check out Sika Sport Fishing. After we passed there, we headed up the island a bit more and did some of the stuff that we really like to do, which is just getting really tight to the beach and throwing lures up against it. And normally we'll fish crankbaits or spinnerbaits. Well, I fished a spinnerbait a bit this trip. Not normally we wouldn't do that, but there was a lot of surf grass in the water in most of the areas from the previous swell they'd had there, and you wouldn't get more than a few cranks without getting your lure fouled up. So we went back to the 7-inch gulp jerk shad on a 3/8 ounce owner's or half-ounce owner's sled head, which is what we got the bulk of our fish on throughout the day or throughout the morning. Now this video here is a little bit longer, but it kind of shows, some of it's sped up, some of it's normal speed, how we go in and work a section of shoreline at Catalina or any other island. And, you know, just people always wonder how fast you move the boat, all these other things. So this video kind of shows that, and it shows how you cover water. You know, instead of sitting there and making a million casts in one spot, you want to keep the boat moving. And again, we're real familiar with that island, so if you're unsure, I wouldn't get too close until you sit there and watch a spot for at least 5 or 6 minutes to see if any of the bigger swells that come in are going to stand up. And even though we're real familiar with a lot of spots, when we were up at Santa Cruz later in the day, we had a situation where it was a very intermittent, bigger west swell, and we actually worked our way into a zone where both Jimmy and I knew there was another little ridge of rock that stuck out, but we couldn't really remember where it was. And luckily, we were careful enough, keeping our head on a swivel, that we found it and were able to maneuver the boat out of there without bottoming out. But had we not been paying attention, we were one swell away from knocking the lower unit off the motor. But you know, just staying situationally aware really helps out there, and being familiar with the area you're in. And it, you know, it'd been probably 1.5 years or 2 years since we fished that zone, so we kind of knew where it was. We're tentative, and we were lucky enough to see it, even though it didn't become a danger for us that trip. If you're focused only on fishing, you're gonna get into trouble doing that stuff. But anyway, here's that video of us fishing the shoreline on the backside there.
Look at them all.
Look at that. Nice. Those things fired up.
Speed line. That's crazy, man. They wanted it on the fucking burn.
There on the jerk shad. Swallow but no bite.
Swallow, no swallow.
Swallow, no swallow. That's a good one. So I was drinking a little bit during the podcast. I had to slurp my words at one point.
Nice.
I talked about the fact I was an influencer, and then Mark called me the under the influencer. You like that pause, huh?
Yes, they're very much. They're not in a big hurry. Only that one.
Yeah.
Or those two.
Right where we're supposed to be. Right.
Nice.
And not as big as you felt at first. You look by the rocks, they feel a lot bigger.
Sit down.
So our final video is Jimmy getting a couple of nice fish at Salt or Birdie. And this is a situation where there's going to be smaller spots. So in that last one I showed us working a longer stretch expansive beach to get multiple fish. There are spots where you can pull in and you're not going to be traveling nearly as far. So you might only travel 100 feet or 200 feet before you're out of that zone or you're up against the rocks that come out or something. So in this situation, and I've done plenty of this, where you'll want to sit there, you go, I just got two nice bass right here in the span of 20 feet, and everything in you says to stay there and keep fishing, but if you don't get another bite in the next 5 minutes, there's no more bass there. Small spot, there's only a few fish there. So you can look at what you saw in that spot and use that to move on to the next spot and look for similar conditions. But here's that video. Better one there, huh?
That's a good one. He's in the rocks though.
Nice one.
Sweet. Nice jerk shot there.
So last but not least, you know, I had a couple of comments on YouTube the other day from a couple of viewers who are also sand dab aficionados, and I just want to share with you guys the video.
On it, spotlight. You can literally be done in 40 minutes, 15 fish per person.
Here they come. That's better. Jeez.
Yeah, there's a little bit of haul there.
Fuck.
Hold it up with the camera. There we go.
That's how you do it.
So, yeah, you know what? We catch sand dabs too. I just don't really talk about them normally on this video. If you want to catch sand dabs anywhere, go to the edge of a drop off in, 300 to 400 feet of water at the top of the shelf where it drops off. And especially at Catalina on the east end or the west end of the southeast bank there is like a rim of, imagine a pizza crust. The crust is the sand dabs that sit stacked up on that edge. You don't need to meter them, you don't need to do nothing. Get about 100 feet from the drop off, drop your sand dab rig down, and if they're there, they're going to load up and it's going to be wide open. I imagine Catalina having a ring of sand dabs that's about 30 feet wide right on the edge of its canyon. Yeah, I mean, there's got to be 10 million of those things down there. So they're good to eat. Jimmy says cut the head off with scissors. Or no, take scissors and cut the head off, then cut the stomach over, take that out, cut the fins off, scrape them under the hose with a butter knife, get the scales off, throw them in a frying pan. You can't go wrong. There's no limit. You can fish as many hooks as you want. It's a great way to take some food home without, if you don't want to take bass or you can't catch anything else, it's always a good option. So along the coast, I'd mentioned before the halibut derbies that are going on. The Native Son has theirs, and my friend Spiro went out. Spiro Bajos went out on one of their trips the other day. Had a 20.5 pounder, I think, and they caught another legal as well. I know the boats out of Dana running their halibut derbies are catching fish as well down there. So, like I said, if you're a sport boat guy and you don't want to go fish sculpin or leadhead and squid, for sand bass, those halibut trips might be a fun option. Finally, going down to San Diego. Yellows are still biting down there occasionally. The Premier out of H&M had one on their half-day trip. Nice quality fish. Haven't heard anything about the bonita down there lately, but sure they'll be popping in and out all winter and spring here. And finally, swordfish are still around. My friend Fred Klimshaw's son Jake, who works for Bight sport fishing, went out solo the other day and caught a 336 pounder, which I can't even imagine catching that thing solo, but good job to him. It's nice to see those swordfish are still around. I actually heard on the way in on Monday that someone had seen one on the surface near Catalina, or between Catalina and Newport as well. But I wouldn't quite start packing the offshore gear yet, but I mean, the way the water temps look at, in the channel and everywhere else, I mean, I don't remember the last time I've seen 61, 61.5 water in this zone at this time of year since about 2014. And that also happened to coincide with the year before the 2015-2016 El Nino, which ended up being pretty fantastic. So we can keep our fingers crossed that it'll bring good things this year as well. Finally, as I mentioned last week, I was going to do the Cast and Crank podcast with Mark Higashi from Performance Tackle. I did do that, and I had a good time doing it. We had a lot of fun, a lot of laughs. If you're got a couple hours to kill and want to hear grown men talking about when they used to crank all tackle stores back when they were 20, I suggest you tune in. We had a lot of fun. And you can find that on Apple, iTunes, or Stitcher, or any of those other places where you can watch podcasts. This Cast and Crank podcast, and I don't know what episode number it is, but just look at the latest one. That's it. I'm hoping to fish Saturday if it doesn't rain too much, and I can get somebody to go with me. My friends are pretty fair weather, and I understand that. We're getting older. But yeah, so if you guys are fishing, I wish you good luck, and I hope you have a great weekend.